All right, today on Free Field Training, we are going to talk about handcuffs, and specifically handcuff nomenclature. Now, if you're looking for different types of handcuffs and what the pluses and minuses of those types of handcuffs are, I will put a link up there and down below in the YouTube video for different types of handcuffs. I have a whole video on a bunch of different handcuffs, some of which I had to borrow from friends, and the pluses and minuses of each of those and the features of each individual type of handcuff. What we're looking at today is handcuff nomenclature. It is stuff that you should know about handcuffs so that you can have a reasonable adult conversation with people about the pluses and minuses of different types, or before you go to a class and learn about handcuffing, or if you're going to be talking in the comment section of one of my videos about handcuffs, it helps to have some idea of what the doohickeys on the handcuffs actually are. So I drew a bunch of them out here, and I'm also live streaming this on YouTube. So there's a special video, a separate video that I live streamed when I made this video for the YouTube channel. I'll be taking a couple comments and questions from our audience. If you want to be part of that conversation for future educational videos, make sure you go down and subscribe to the channel and then hit the notification icon, the little bell, so you'll be notified whenever I release a video, including doing live streams. Now let's get right to it. So handcuffs are a pretty simple device. They're not normally meant to be disassembled, and your most common type of handcuffs are these Smith & Wesson handcuffs. These are the penultimate most common type of handcuff out there on the market, and that's kind of what I drew up here. I also put some features from Peerless handcuffs in, and we're going to talk about those pretty briefly. After that, we'll get into some specialist handcuffs and having a general discussion about other types of cuffs that aren't drawn up here but you might want to know about. So handcuffs generally will have a keyhole only on one side of the body. So the body of the cuff is this section here. And then you have strand side. So when we're talking about handcuffs, we're talking about how to apply handcuffs. There's the double strand side or body of the handcuff. Then there's the single strand side. Sometimes the single strand is called the bow. That's because there's only one piece on this side and there's two pieces on this side. Now they're connected together with a single strand rivet or an axis pin, depending on who you ask what they're called. And that's the pin that goes through the middle and holds the bow or single strand onto the double strand or body of the handcuff. Now, handcuffs are duplicates on both sides, and they're connected together in the middle either by a chain, a solid bar, or a hinge, like these cuffs here. So hinge cuffs just fold back and forth. They can't really go side to side. Chain cuffs can go back and forth, side to side. They can move around all sorts of different ways. What we're looking at here is chain cuffs because it's the most complicated connecting system that comes all as one piece for a handcuff. And there's on the top of the body of each cuff, because there's two of them, make a set of handcuffs, is called a swivel, which is riveted in place inside the bottom of the cuff, and it only turns, it only swivels like this on top. And then you've got links for the chains that connect the two cuffs together. Now, your keyhole is on one side of the cuffs generally. Asp handcuffs can have keyholes on two sides, but they're really the minority in the market. Keyholes are going to be only on one side of the handcuffs, and then you're going to have a double lock slider, pin, or push lever on the other side, and we call all of those double locks. Now with the slider double locks, you're going to have a little metal piece of spring steel in here, and you're going to slide that over using either the tip of a pen, which is generally how I end up using it, or on the end of the handcuff key that we'll get to in a second. There's a little double lock pin that you push in there and slide it over. Also, double locks could be just a circular, it just looks like a little hole on the side of the cuff that's got something filled in it. It looks kind of like a rivet. You push that in and it double locks the cuffs. Now what double locking does is it keeps the cuffs from tightening any further. So when you put cuffs on someone, they automatically lock and you have to put the key in and turn it in order to unlock them. And then you push the little slider pin over, push it down, or slide the lever over, and it double locks them, keeps them from getting any tighter. Now this is important for liability reasons because when you put cuffs on someone behind their back and you sit them in a car, you don't want them to sit on the cuffs, tighten them up, and actually end up hurting their wrists, which there's a lot of case law on that actually happening, and people getting in trouble for not double locking handcuffs. Remember, never not double lock. A lot of handcuffs will have rivets. They're riveted together construction. Some of them you can see on the outside. Peerless is most common for that. They've got big exposed rivets on the outside. Smith & Wesson is also kind of riveted together, but the rivets have the ends ground down. So you can see the holes from the rivets on them, but the rivets don't stick out. So there's nothing to feel, nothing tactile on them. There's several different types of locks, and this is where it gets into things that people don't generally talk about when they talk about handcuff nomenclature. There's at least 3 different types of keys for handcuffs that I've run into. The first is your most common handcuff key. Looks kind of like this. It's the free one that comes in the box, and it's a loop, so you can hook it on your keyring, and then there's a pin on the end for double locking the cuffs, and then on the other end is the part that goes into the handcuff. Now, the end of a handcuff key is hollow, and then there's a pin in the hole, like that, that aligns the cuff key inside the keyhole, and then the flag pushes a mechanism over that unlocks the handcuffs and unlocks the double lock on the handcuffs. So this little end on here, the little tab, is called a flag. Now there's 2 types of key cuffs like this. Your standard cuff key just has a block on the end of it, a little square, and then your higher security cuff key, the ones that are commonly used in a correctional environment, have a little dog's leg on there, a little mare's leg type of thing on there. It comes up and over. I'm not sure you can see it on video, so I'll draw it a little bigger here. Let's say that's the hollow end of the handcuff key. This is over to the body of the key over here, and this is what the flag on the end of the key will look like. What that does is it makes the flag go up and around a safety mechanism, makes it harder for the cuff to get picked. And that's standard on Smith & Wesson 104 handcuffs. Those are the only ones that I'm aware of that are made like that. I'm sure there's probably others. The third type of key is a normal pin tumbler lock key. The handcuffs look a little bit different. They look like these cuffs up here. It's going to be a normal handcuff generally from mass production, and then it's going to have a pin tumbler lock that sticks out the end of the handcuff. So if you had these handcuffs here, it would stick out about yay far off the top of the handcuff. It's a separate locking mechanism that uses a key that you'd be familiar with from, say, like padlocks, where there's teeth on the end, and the key would look something like that. So a lock you'd be used to. And it works essentially the same way as your standard handcuffs. It just has a much higher security key that makes it much harder for the lock to be picked. The handcuffs obviously come in a variety of finishes. The most common of them are your nickel finish, your silver finish, and black finish handcuffs. Also paint handcuffs, all sorts of colors. And some handcuffs come molded in polymer. Things like asp handcuffs have polymer like around the mechanism of them as part of the body, or Safariland and Hyatt handcuffs, their rigid cuffs or folding rigid cuffs, are going to have polymer encasements around the metal components. So that is handcuff nomenclature. The down, dirty, long, and short of it. You've got the body, double strand side, single strand side, the key, the flag on the end, double pin tip, your keyhole, your double lock mechanisms of your choice, your chains in between 2 swivels, and rivets holding the whole thing together, or axis pin, depending on what type of person you are. And then you've got your different types of keys, your pin tumbler lock keys, your standard keys, and your higher security keys. Now there's also what's called around here a blue box, not sure what it's called everywhere else, and that is a metal box that goes around these and you put a padlock through. It's commonly used a lot with belly chains to hold the handcuffs rigid in place and then attached to belly chains in front of a person, or for various other corrections uses that I'm not honestly familiar with. That's the only time I ever see them used. So if you've got any comments or questions especially, or something you want clarification on, or something to add to this, maybe something new came out that I'm not aware of, or this video is 5 years old and something new came out and you want to talk about it, or you want a video on it, put them down in the comments down in the description. Till next week, you guys be safe, take care of each other. Hey, thanks for watching free field training on YouTube. While you're here, why don't you go check out one of our other videos, or you can head on over to the Patreon and see how you can get your name put on the videos like these fine folks listed over here. There's also some exclusive content on Patreon that just shows you kind of behind the scenes like you're seeing now.
We'll see you guys next time.